¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday morning. Welcome to a warm, sunny London, 83 degrees. Tomorrow would be to 93. Yikes, that is pretty hot. Joltium, Floppy Boober, how's it going? Howdy, everybody. It is Thursday. That means it's Friday Junior. One step closer to the weekend, folks. Paris will be 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Yikes. There's been a really bad, string of heat waves. I mean, even here we got, a heat warning yesterday. I'm not sure if that will be the case today, but it's definitely hotter than usual. That is unbelievably hot. I think they said tomorrow will be the hottest June day in the UK ever. Yeah, lots of records being broken. I just finished reading a story about a unfortunate fellow who ran out of gas in Death Valley and didn't make it. That's horrible. Yeah, it's the heat is incredibly dangerous. So I would say, please be careful. The heat is incredibly dangerous. Howdy. We've got quite the amount of content to go through.
And that, you know, a contingent of his base of Republicans.
Jeez, back-to-back ads? Okay. A heavy day of back-to-back... a heavy day of garbage. Yeah, I mean... News. Such is the life of news. we do have quite the gauntlet to run through. News will rot your brain. True. Paying attention to, like, the important daily events causes brain rot. All right, let's check this out. Let's see what we got here.
But take a look at the issues that we are fighting for, and every one of those issues, Lindsay, guess what? American people support me, not you.
Independent Senator Bernie
Yikes.
Sanders laid the smack down on Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. Sorry, I've been watching some wrestling. During the Fox News debate. So, this was
is
a
news to
random
me.
debate they held for some reason. I'm going to show you 6 incredible clips here. This debate was really very, very enjoyable. So, I'm going to show you 6 clips, and at the end, I'm going to discuss something that this debate really made me realize. But before we get to that, let's get to the important stuff. First, here is a clip shortly after their opening statements where Bernie is exposing Lindsey Graham's influences.
The Democrats have the House, the Senate, and the White House. All these problems that were talked about, they could change or fix if they could.
Whoa, wait, hold on. Now, hold on. wait. No. That's not how that works. Because every time that something would be proposed, it would require to pass the 60 vote threshold in the Senate, which you won't do. Okay. We continue to have political sleaze and law breaking here in the UK from our populist neo-Nazi government. What? Yikes.
Their agenda is not working. So here's what I want to tell you. Vote Republican in 2022. Do yourself a favor.
Do yourself a favor and vote the same party that's the root cause of these problems. This is like asking this is like asking arsonists to be in control of fire department policies. Yeah, no thanks. Hard pass. Mayhem Hippie, how's it going? Howdy, howdy.
What you don't hear him talking about are, in fact, the most important issues facing this country. That's what the establishment does. Lindsay is a very good and effective representative of the establishment.
True.
Does Lindsay have a concern that we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people?
No.
That some 60,000 people a year die?
No, Lindsey Graham's position is suck it, pores.
Because I don't get to a doctor on time? I didn't hear much about that in that opening statement. Lindsay Care, that we have the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, and that the pharmaceutical industry right now has 1,500 paid lobbyists in Washington, D.C.?
No, Lindsay's position on that is suck it, pores.
To make sure that in some cases we pay 10 times more for the medicine that we need? Did Lindsay talk about the fact that we have in South Carolina and all over this country tens of millions of workers working for starvation wages?
No, Lindsay's official position is suck it, pores.
Talk about a corrupt political system in which billionaires today can start a super PAC. And I guess you have some familiarity with super PACs. They help fund your campaign.
All right.
Oof.
This is only a start. It gets even better.
Yikes. Yikers. They have taken all the cultist characteristics of George Orwell's Animal Farm into mainstream political behavior. We have our own Napoleon. What? What is going on? To my knowledge, listen. I may be across the pond over here, but to my knowledge, like, listen, Boris Johnson is atrocious. But I don't know if he's like necessarily like a Nazi, or am I thinking something else? By the way, just as a subnote to that, Animal Farm is a good book. I like it. I'm gonna hate the day Bernie passes away. Yeah, like, out of the closest I've ever gone to actually being kind of like, legitimately backing a political person, because, like, generally speaking, I don't like parties, and I don't like idolization of political parties, and I don't like idolization of certain political figures. I just think that they're human beings. They are not gods. But Bernie Sanders definitely, out of like all the political people, is like the closest I could get to being like, damn, I could actually like legitimately back that that person, because they're as close. They're as close to what I think and I see than any other political, person or entity or party or whatever. I don't like him either, but Bernie's one we don't see often. Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, even like folks who don't even like Bernie, because he's the same, like, kind of the same dude saying the same things, being as like legitimate about his positions as possible, and he gets respect from that. You have to pay attention a little more to what goes over the pond over here. Oh, well then I'm definitely uninformed if that's the case. Sheesh. Yikes on me.
But here, I mean, Bernie goes on to discuss more about money and politics, climate change, wealth inequality, corporate consolidation, his general Bernie speech. But as you'll see with the other clips, he really goes, even further and than what he has, normally is known for saying. And it gets even better. But here, look, Lindsey Graham, throughout this debate, I watched the entire thing. He attacks, every attempt at an attack by Lindsey Graham on Bernie Sanders is trying to act like Biden is implementing Bernie's agenda, when that is nowhere near the case. Like, he says over and over again, elect more Republicans because the Bernie agenda is not working. Like, what what are you talking about? Biden now is governing as a conservative. He is barely even doing what he promised to do during the campaign. Has he talked at all? Has Biden talked at all about a public option? He ran on that in 2020. He hasn't even mentioned it since.
Ha! You thought you were going to get some, like, healthcare reform? Psh. I was talking to a guy from Norway last night. They freaking love Bernie there. I bet, because, like, that's pretty much, like, the standard positions over there. Like, that's pretty standard. To advocate for, like, the basic necessities, like healthcare, addressing, like, income inequality and things like that, that's, like, kind of, like, par for the course. Coomer Police? Who is this? I don't know. Is this me? The government wants to change the rules so they don't break them, and they have their feet firmly in the trough. They want to break international law and are squashing people who don't do their bidding. Well, that's definitely authoritarian in nature, if that's the case. That's pretty yikes. Yeah, that's pretty authoritarian in nature. Not good.
So to act like Biden is somehow implementing this progressive agenda and it's not working is so incredibly dishonest. And Lindsey Graham knows he's full of shit.
Yeah,
it's
of course.
The only way he's able to even attack what Bernie Sanders is saying here. Now, let's go on.
Well, then it's not really an attack if it's not applicable, is it now? Okay? Like, It's a straw man, effectively. That's what it is, because you have no other options but to do that, but to attack a shadow of what you think your opponent is.
On to the next clip here, where it's about gas prices. And it
Oh, here
becomes
we go.
Very clear how correct Bernie Sanders is, and how Lindsey Graham has no ability to combat this in any way.
Right, because there's no, they can't. They can't without obfuscation or lying, or deflecting or pivoting. Because, like, the reality is, gas prices generally are determined by the market. That's how this works. And what is the market? Well, in this case, the market is basically a mafia mob called OPEC. They're the ones who make the rules, essentially, because they're the ones that control the overwhelming amount of the market. It's sort of like a oligopoly, right? Gas prices, and this is true, are wildly inflated across the board everywhere. Why? Well, you can't have essentially a cooperative oligopoly, because that creates a problem. That creates what amounts to market failures, and you dabble a little bit of greed on top of that. You get the prices that you have now. Bernie is so based. I love the articles he writes on The Guardian. What? What are you talking about? Ah!
Ask you to focus on lowering gas prices, securing the border, and bringing law and order back to America.
What? Law and order? You don't believe in any of those things. Okay, buddy.
And the only way you're going to do that, Senator Sanders, is abandon the agenda that you've charted for America, because it is not working.
Look, like, I don't know if you've noticed, but oh man, he knows he's full of shit.
Well, let's talk about gas prices, because you're right. They are outrageously high. In Vermont, they're now filled up the other day, $5.05 a gallon.
In some places, they're like $3 more added to that.
Meanwhile, the major oil companies made $35 billion in profit in the first quarter of this year.
Based.
And at the end of the year, it is estimated they're going to give $88 billion in stock buybacks to their wealthy shareholders.
Nice.
So I do think we have to do something about the outrageously high price.
Right. And the only way to do that is, like, essentially creating like windfall taxes. Essentially is creating windfall taxes. Because I don't think you can like do anything past that. Generally speaking, it's very hard. Unless you get the government to actually start regulating. Yeah.
Of gas. I think the president should bring the major oil companies in and tell them we're going to have a windfall profits tax.
Oh yeah, there we go. See, maybe I should have just let the video play. Yes, a windfall tax.
On what they're doing in order to stop them from ripping off the American people. You know, the last time that oil prices were at $118 a barrel, which is what they are right now, roughly speaking, average gasoline prices at the pump were $3.83.
Yeah, but we've wait.
Over $5 a gallon.
Yes, but
So I
we
think
also like. There's also I think, and somebody can probably correct me if I'm wrong. I think that the price of a barrel per oil isn't all how do I say parallel to what the price at the pump will be. So I'm not sure if that's like a good talking point. I would just say that very simply, just stopped at where he was at the beginning. That's it. just tax, make a massive windfall tax. That's it. That's all you had to say.
In the midst of what is going on in this world, and that is the war in Ukraine and Russia oil and the stopping of oil, I think what the oil companies are doing is taking advantage of that situation.
Yeah, and that's it. That's it. Okay,
And
right there. That's it. There's a piece of the puzzle, which is the war that's going on there. There's another piece of the puzzle, which is corporate greed. So just tax the shit out of them.
raising prices to an outrageous level, which is hurting the American working family.
All right, so I got some tabs on this because, of course, Bernie Sanders is 100% correct. And Lindsey Graham, as a representative of the establishment, as he even nodded along in that first clip to Bernie saying that, and a representative, because of that, of capitalism, Graham has no, retort to this. He can't combat this because Bernie's exactly right. The issue is corporate greed. So looking here at this graph, this is from Representative Diana DeGetti, if I'm saying that correctly. The price of oil is down 20% from its peak earlier this month, but the price at the pump has stayed near.
Yes, because those are not necessarily, like parallel. I don't think this is a good way of attacking the fact that, like, I don't think this is a good, like, attack point. Just say that corporations are taking advantage. That's it. You can stop right there. You can stop right there. Big Oil is raking record profits. So, yeah, that's it. That's case closed.
Record highs. Big Oil is raking in record profits while the American people feel the pain at the pump. If these companies don't act now to lower gas prices, Congress will. So, look, price per gallon of gas has stayed roughly the same. Meanwhile, cost per barrel of oil down considerably. Why the hell is this happening? Purely because of corporate greed, because they are allowed to do this.
That's
if they
true.
are allowed to do this, they will do it. They will try and get as much profit as they can.
Right, and I think, like, we went over a video yesterday of the Beckosphere on the Republican climate plan, which ended up being just absolute garbage. Like, Republican climate policy is just not climate policy. But she pointed out that there are significant amounts of permits that have been approved and just unused. Why? Because they are artificially squeezing output to inflate the price. Lowering gas prices without expanding output would just lead to shortages, though. We need to expand output. I'm not understanding. There's, like, what does that even have to do with anything? Today, our wholesale gas prices have started to drop, and the Bank of England raised base lending rates to 1.25, and the pound sterling has lost 8% in value in the last month. Oof. Yikes. That's not a good sign. I think our Fed just raised rates as well. Not good. My food store raised prices on food that's not gotten anywhere from over there. The more than gas for it to be delivered. They're definitely using it to gain off some of the things that don't affect the area of greed. But yeah, exactly. The greedy corporations can. Because of what? Because they can. That's it. There needs to be no justification for it other than they can. Some of it is legitimate. A part of inflation is legitimate. A part of inflation is still part of the recovery process because we've had massive problems because of the pandemic that are still ongoing. Um, sure, there are supply chain issues that are causing shortages and the ability to produce certain things, which, sure, fine. But there is a significant factor of just simply greed. Right, because the government lets them. And yes, bipedal. It's just like an excuse to just raise it even more because they keep getting away with it. And like, what are you supposed to do? Not go to work? I don't know. What are you supposed to do? Not eat? Hey, Alio, how's it going?
Because that is what they do as a corporation. That is their responsibility. So unless you control that in some way, which Biden is not doing, he's not doing what Bernie's telling him to do.
Now, hold on. That's not true. Biden wrote a very strongly worded letter. Okay? Did you not see that? Biden wrote a very strongly worded letter. Okay, so he is doing something.
Unless you try and control that in some way, this is going to continue happening. So, more graphs here. Oil prices and gasoline prices disconnect. This is in Canadian, but it's, similar result here for Americans. So you see here, national average gas price way up here in the light blue. Meanwhile, crude oil price all the way down here. You can also look at US gas prices, again, has increased dramatically with the profits of the 4 large oil companies. Funny how that works. And another piece here from The Guardian. Largest oil and gas producers made close to $100 billion in first quarter of 2022. This is from a month ago. Shell made $9.1 billion in profit, almost 3 times what it made in the same period last year, while Exxon raked in $8.8 billion. This is corporate greed. They are allowed to do this, so they will do this. That's the problem here. The fact that private companies own a natural resource. If you want to actually fix this issue, and Bernie, is not going to go this far because he knows this is not possible with the current Congress, but nationalize the industry. If you want actual energy independence, Lindsey Graham talks about energy independence. He mentioned that several times in this debate.
Yeah.
Actual energy independence would be the American people owning that natural resource, which they do not. Private.
Yeah, like, listen, I actually said the, I actually said that, I think a couple days ago. Listen, if they can't figure this out, and they are unwilling to, obviously, because it's such at this point, the situation that we are in forces us in a position that we kind of like need gas, right? We need gasoline for now, to run certain things, to go to work sometimes, so on and so forth, right? They can put whatever price they can because they've made it so that we're so dependent on it. So 2 things. A, we've got to get off of that. We got to get off of that. And B, if so, that sounds like a national security issue to me. Nationalize them.
Companies do. But of course, Lindsey Graham also not going to bring that up. Now let's get to the next clip, which is on why Medicare for All won't pass.
What we need is a government that represents all of us and not just wealthy, powerful, special interests. So that is what I'm working on. What I believe, you talk about, will Medicare pass on the floor of the Senate tomorrow? No, it will not.
Why? Something like Medicare for All, which should be just like a no-brainer. Like, yeah, no shit, everybody should have access to Medicare, to freaking basic healthcare. That should just be basic.
The real question is not whether it passes or not, it's what the American people want. And you know what the American people do want? They do want Medicare for All. You talk about
Yeah. It turns out that like people want healthcare. I mean, like, who would have thought? Who would have thought? That's actually what I'm seeing too. Can you go back to the source for the first graph, the one that oil price dropping and the price at the pump staying the same? Yeah, but like I don't think that necessarily these things are parallel.
This is from Representative Diana DeGetti, if I'm saying that correctly. The price of oil is down 20% from its peak earlier this month, but the price at the pump has stayed near record highs. Big oil is raking in record profits while
I don't know if that's better.
the American people feel the pain at the pump. If these companies don't act now to lower gas prices,
There we go. Maybe that's a little better.
Of workers who lost their private insurance during COVID. So I think it is time for the working families of this country to stand up, demand a government represents all.
Some representative. They don't have to be price per barrel. Could remain constant and price at the pump could still be rising if demand is increasing or supply is decreasing. Show a disconnect between those two prices. Doesn't actually tell us much. Right, that's exactly my point. That's why I said that it's not like necessarily a good angle of attack. Just say, because it's true, that that there is an element of corporate greed. There's an element of corporations taking advantage. That's it. That's all you had to say. I don't know, some representative. I forgot their name already. Wait, I missed this debate? Yes. Yes.
Not just a few.
So I'm calling on Senator Schumer to bring Medicare for all to the floor of the Senate sooner rather than later.
Okay, so wait. Okay, wait, hold on. Have we got Lindsey Graham on tape saying that Senator Schumer should bring up Medicare for all and what he's going to vote for it? Okay. I'm gonna press X to doubt. Man, I will eat my hat if a Medicare for all, or some type of universal healthcare system, some type of national healthcare system comes up for the Senate, and Lindsey Graham throws their weight. Nah, Jab Info. Come on. You're just saying that everybody's greedy? I don't know about that. Something else has to explain it. Yeah, they're taking advantage of the current geopolitical situation. They're taking advantage of a geopolitical situation. Was there like a war involving one of the giant like oil producers 10 years ago? No. No, there's not. And I'm not saying that that's the only thing. There's multiple different things. There's multiple different factors at play here. Everyone is greedy, everyone wants more. What? That's a very presumptuous statement. That is a very presumptuous statement to vastly say that everybody is just greedy. I was just having a progressive and open dialogue with my liberal and conservative coworkers about gay and trans acceptance in media, where I felt where my thoughts were actually being processed and helped them form a better worldview. Poggers, true. Yep. It turns out that sometimes when people are willing to actually, like the people who are willing to listen, the people who are willing to listen, those are the people that you can talk to, right? And hey, if you talk to them one-on-one, that's pretty cool. You don't want companies to be poor, do you? Yes, the poor trillion-dollar industry. There are some naturally good and moral people, and there's some naturally bad and immoral people. What? That's not what I said. I literally never said anything like that. I'm just saying you're painting a broad brush, and I don't think that's a good definition of greed. I don't think everybody's greedy.
So we can vote on it. Because if the American people want it, and those people who vote against it should lose their job. That's
Okay, wait. Okay, cool. Excellent point. I couldn't agree more, Lindsey Graham. I couldn't agree more. So, put it up for a vote. Put it up for a vote. And watch me, make me eat my own hat, Lindsey Graham, by voting for Medicare for All or some type of universal healthcare system. Make me eat my own hat.
That's the way it works.
Again, with this bullshit. Is this how it works, really? If that's how it worked, then you would have 80% of Congress getting replaced because of the approval rating. Right now, you have only 20%, according to a Gallup here, 20% approval rating of Congress. So why isn't 80% of Congress getting replaced? Because money buys elections. Money dictates who your two choices are. Now, sometimes you're lucky and get, a progressive that sneaks through who is not bought by big dollars, but usually that happens in a state like New York or California, not often anywhere else. So because of that, you have a record low approval rating, yet these people stay in because money buys the elections. Regardless of who wins, you have a pro-corporate candidate. And at the same time, about 40% of people don't even vote. So those are the people that Democrats have to actually speak to with a candidate that is fighting for the working class. But this is the issue. So this is why a incredibly popular policy like Medicare for All, which I've covered a million times, incredibly popular in polling, this is why it will not pass the Senate or pass Congress, because you have people in positions of power in government that are not actually there to represent people. They are there to represent corporations. And Lindsey Graham goes to this line again and again, despite Bernie, calling out his bullshit here. It proves Lindsey Graham knows he's full of shit, because it doesn't matter how many times Bernie Sanders calls out the actual reason that popular things don't pass. Lindsey Graham will not acknowledge that because he himself is bought by corporations. That's why he is there. Now let's get to the next clip, which is about the crisis in democracy.
A lot of problems with the Democrats, but they are far superior to where the Republicans are. Let me give you an example. When we talk about major crises, I think many leading political scientists will tell you that right now we're looking, for the first time in my lifetime, and yours, at a real threat to the existence of democracy in America. And you know why? Because we have a former president, his name is Donald Trump, who goes around the country telling people, hey, I won the election. In fact, I probably won it by a landslide, but they stole it. They took it away from me. All right? Now, that happens to be what we call a big lie. And yet many of the Republicans that Senator Graham are asking you to vote for are maintaining that big lie. What does that mean? It goes beyond Trump. It goes beyond...
Yes, the Republican Party does not believe in democratic norms. Yes, we know that.
The 2020 election. It means what they are saying is the entire system, you can't trust anybody. And if you can't trust the election results...
You can only trust the cult leader. That's the only person you can trust.
Then what is the obvious alternative? We need a strong man, all right? Conservatives went to, I think it was Hungary, to meet with Mr. Orban, who runs an authoritarian-type society.
Yeah. Numero uno that comes to mind would be Tucker Carlson singing his praises.
So the struggle we're facing is not just that Lindsay and I disagree on this or that issue, which we do. It is the future of American democracy and whether we move to authoritarianism based on, among other things, a
We need
very
the routers.
big lie.
Well, quickly,
Guess
can you
what?
address that, Senator?
Trump lost the election.
Can you address that, Senator? I mean, can you say definitively the election was not stolen?
Yeah, I voted to certify the election. There was some mail-in balloting chicanery out there, but no, I voted to...
What? He's incapable of doing it. He's incapable. He's got to throw it in for the he's got to throw it in for the fans, right? For the red meat. Oh. He said, "I believe there was some mail-in chicanery." He can't do it. He's incapable of just saying, "Look, bro, there's no evidence to suggest that there was some widespread electoral or voter fraud or anything like that. Anything that would indicate something that's like A, coordinated, B, out of the norms, C, enough to overturn the election, and D, not enough evidence to suggest that our electoral systems are compromised in any serious way."
Certify the election. President Biden's the president. And whether
Did he
Trump...
win the election?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what about all of the candidates out there who are trying to say that he didn't? Your Republican candidates that you want people to vote for.
Well,
Nice.
what about the people saying defund the police? You talk to them.
Oh, what about ism? Oof, yikes. Yikes, that pivot was so hard. Yikes. Damn. I'm glad freaking Lindsey Graham has the best healthcare possible, because that pivot is that pivot was so concerning that I'm actually genuinely concerned for his well-being. One should a human being should never pivot that hard. I'm just glad he has the top of the line healthcare, because geez, those hips. You're not that young, Lindsay. You're not that you're not that young. You shouldn't be pivoting that hard. Jesus Christ.
Talk to that crowd.
Right, your crowd is a lot larger than my crowd.
So this is really the one clear difference between these two parties.
Yikes.
Democrats recognize the results of an election. Republicans don't. In fact, a majority of Republican voters now doubt whether or not Biden actually won the election. They think Trump won because of the garbage being spewed.
And that's the point. That's the point. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. It's just enough. It's just enough to put a seed of doubt. And once that is, once that's there, I mean, you pretty much got it. Please don't mention Lindsay's hips. Hey, listen, I'm a concerned citizen. Okay? No human being should be able to pivot that hard. Waiting for Dem say, but Bernie is not a Democrat? True. I mean...
by people that Lindsey Graham is supporting. And by, of course, media networks like parts of Fox News, but especially places like Newsmax and other more extreme right-wing media. So, and the argument Lindsey Graham uses there at the end is so stupid. He is comparing a disagreement over policy and policing to the foundations of democracy. When you have people not willing to accept the result of an election, and you are saying vote for those people, vote for more Republicans, as Lindsey said throughout this debate here, you are supporting people that are against democracy. There's no debate on this at all. It is obvious how, or which side of this issue is just completely either dishonest or actually fascist and want to just take over regardless of...
Yeah. There is clearly a contingent of the population that is just legitimately not living in reality, and that is very concerning.
Of what it means for democracy. Now let me get to the next clip, which is on socialism. And this is one of my favorite clips throughout this debate.
Oh,
But
here we
I can tell you
go.
right now, the pathway to socialism is being paved as I speak, and the worst is yet to come.
Do you think raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour is socialistic? Do you think doing what every other major
What? That's it. Wait, his first sentence, his opening statement didn't even make sense unless that's like there's more to that.
country on earth does, guaranteeing health care to all people, is socialistic? Do you think expanding Medicare to cover dental care is quite socialistic? Do you think in terms of Social Security, you know, you're on the Budget Committee, we just had a hearing about this. Lindsay and I disagree on this. I think we should increase benefits for Social Security recipients by lifting the cap, which is now at $147,000. So a millionaire pays the same amount as somebody making $147,000. Lift that cap, we can increase Social Security benefits by $200 a month for every beneficiary in America. Is that socialistic?
Based.
Is making sure that all of our kids are able to get a higher education. Is that socialistic?
Ask Lindsay to define socialism. Something, bad for you. Be scared of it.
You're saying that 3 Wall Street companies should not control $20 trillion in assets, and we got to break them up? Is that socialistic? You're saying that CEOs should not make 350 times what their workers make. So, you know, I understand that certain words will have an impact on certain parts of our country. But take a look at the issues that we are fighting
Yes, buzzwords. That's it. That's all it is.
for on every one of those issues. Lindsay, guess what? American people support me, not you.
Base.
Mic drop. That was so good.
All right.
That-
I mean, I'm getting way too off topic. I'm getting way too derailed here. That was a good meme. We've got about 5 minutes of this. Okay, I think we can finish it.
that is exactly how you call out the bullshit fear-mongering around the term socialism, which of course Lindsey Graham, utilized several times in that debate as well. But Bernie just going point by point about what he supports, that what Lindsey Graham is calling socialist or socialism. These, again, he is so dishonest. Lindsey Graham is so incredibly dishonest. He knows he is full of shit. He knows he can just scream socialism, and that a contingent of his base of Republicans, a majority of them, are just going to be like, oh, scary socialism. Meanwhile, what is happening right now? Capitalism, not socialism. Like the state that America is in right now, the crisis that they are facing, the low wages, the extreme wealth inequality, the gas prices, the climate crisis, go down the list, healthcare. The issue is capitalism, not socialism. I mean, if anything, Bernie should be screaming capitalism throughout this debate. But instead you have Lindsey Graham screaming socialism, which is not, there's nothing here, nothing in America currently that is socialism or anywhere near the idea of what Lindsey Graham is trying to put forward in terms of fear-mongering around, authoritarian governments from, 100 years ago. So it is so...
because it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point isn't to be truthful. It's like the same reason why he snuck in the but I believe there was some mail-in chicanery. That's the same reason.
Incredibly stupid. But thankfully, I think Bernie did a good job there laying it out. Last clip here, and this is also on Medicare for All, but you see kind of the rapport that Bernie's able to have when he makes these kinds of arguments.
Medicare for all is going to raise your taxes. You know what? It will. But you know what else it's going to do? You ain't going to have to pay a nickel in premiums, a nickel in co-payments, a nickel in deductibles. And if you are the average family out there, or the average small business, or in fact the average corporation, you are going to save money. Now, Lindsay apparently thinks that people just love paying money to the insurance companies. Average family, average person in America, Lindsay, $12,000 a year. Insurance companies making huge profits. So if I go to the American people and I say, hey, Brett, guess what? You're going to pay more. You're going to pay $5,000 more in taxes, but you're going to pay $8,000 less in premiums, deductibles, and co-payments. Now, I know he works for Fox. Maybe he can't say it. But most people would say, Bernie, that's a pretty good deal. You saved me $3,000, and you're guaranteeing comprehensive health care.
Senator, I was waiting for the Fox.
Right.
Yeah, I was waiting.
I could have been worse.
I could
Bernie
have been
Sanders
worse.
is incredibly likable, even for conservatives. And it is clear in that clip. Even though they don't agree with him for reasons they can't really describe, because if they were to describe them, they'd be admitting that, yes, I'm here on behalf of corporations. But even though they can't argue with him, he's able to connect with people in a way that very few politicians can. And that's because Bernie Sanders is genuine. He's been fighting for these same issues forever. And even Lindsey Graham, dishonest Lindsey Graham, acknowledged that throughout this debate a couple of times.
Yeah, like it's just very simple. Like there's way more there's way more positives. There's way more positives to having some type of universal healthcare system than there are negatives. I mean, like that's just a fact. And there is numerous studies to indicate that it will be cheaper. It will save a lot of people more money, and with that comes so much benefits. So I think that like the overwhelming consensus in terms of like not only for economic purposes but just for like societal purposes, a universal healthcare system, some type of NHS, some type of universal access to healthcare is just better. Yeah, you want less powerful mega corporations, you must be supportive of a totalitarian one-party state. True.
How he believes, Bernie Sanders is a fighter for what he believes in, because he is. No one can deny that Bernie Sanders is genuine, because you can go back and look at clips from, the 1980s and see him fighting for the same thing. So this is what helped me realize, even though I already knew this, but just even more so, that Bernie Sanders, if he has the opportunity to, should definitely try to run for president again. Meaning, challenge Joe Biden. I know it sounds crazy. He may not win. It may not be a good idea for, I don't know, politically it may not be a good idea. But
then why are
Biden
you... Wait, you're a... Hold on,
David.
David. Mr. Dole. You are a political commentator.
Second term, he will lose, absolutely lose if he runs again. He has to step away, go away, and there has to be an open primary. So, ideally, Bernie really probably shouldn't challenge Joe Biden directly in a primary, because I just don't, the way the media works, it's just not going to work out. But there should be an open primary.
Mr. Dole, no. No. That's... Okay. If you know it's not a good idea, you are a political commentator. Come on, man. He outright said he won't primary Joe. I don't think he should. I think what he should be doing is doing what he does best, which is raise more grassroots support. And get more progressives into positions of power, maybe at the state, local levels. Use that type of clout or rapport or reach. Consistently work as hard as possible to get as many and lay down a very robust network of friendly progressive folks where he can, in as many ways as he can. And use that already network that the power that he already built, to do that. Because you're right, David. I don't think that it will turn. I don't think that it would be a good use of his reach to try to expend those resources and to try to get the nomination again. And you just said he shouldn't do it. Or that it would be a bad idea. Why not instead all those resources, all those reach, grassroots clout that he has or pull that he has, mobilize that to get people elected into local, state, and representatives, right? I don't understand.
And if there is an open primary, then definitely Bernie has to run again. No one is able to connect with people the way Bernie can.
Yes,
Nobody
that,
is.
Exactly. But You're making my point, Mr. Dole. You're making my point. If that is true, that nobody has that ability to connect with people, then Bernie should be using that to mobilize as many people as possible to get as many friendly folks in local, state, and federal offices. Use that ability. Jesus Christ, why would you put that into the ether? Oh, okay. By the way, how's it going, Spread It Forward? I didn't say hi to you.
As genuine as Bernie is on these issues, who is currently in the spotlight nationally, who was able to win a primary, win an election, I just think nobody comes close. And this debate, I think, really showcased that.
Hey, Lee Spanner. Even if he somehow gets elected, he won't be able to do anything without Congress, the same problem that Biden has now. We got our primary ballots. Almost all Dems are uncontested, so it's not even worth voting in. What? Voting them in? Oh, so they're just gonna win by default? Howdy. Howdy, Memo. And Troma, how's it going? Here's an interesting article. U.S. prison workers produce $11 billion worth of goods and services for a year for pittance. Nice. Oh, I see what you're saying. I mean, it just depends who the candidates are. But yeah. Oh, shoot. Alio with the 13 biddies. 12 biddies. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Shame on me for not realizing that. Or maybe I did say thank you. I'm not sure. Anyways, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Incarcerated workers in the U.S. produce at least $11 billion in goods and services annually, but receive just pennies an hour in wages for their prison jobs, according to a new report from the ACLU. Nearly 2/3 of all prisoners in the U.S., which imprisons more populations than any country in the world, have jobs in state and federal prisons. That figure amounts to roughly 800,000 people, researchers estimated in this report, which is based on extensive public record requests, questionnaires, and interviews with incarcerated workers. ACLU researchers say the findings outlined Wednesday's report raise concerns about the systemic exploitation of prisoners who are compelled to work sometimes difficult and dangerous jobs without basic labor protections and or little or no training while making close to nothing. I heard a person say that like there's no such things as sweatshops in the U.S. I've actually heard somebody unironically say that. Most incarcerated workers are tasked with general prison maintenance that is crucial to keep facilities running, according to the ACLU, who works with the University of Chicago's Law School Global Human Rights Clinic. State governments and prison systems are extracting tremendous value from a captive exploited workforce, all while claiming they can't afford them to pay a livable wage. Damn. More than 80% of incarcerated labor do general prison maintenance, including cleaning, cooking, repair work, laundry, and other essential services. For paid non-industry jobs, workers make an average of 13 cents to 52 cents an hour. Jesus Christ. 7 states, Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Texas pay nothing for the vast majority of prison work. Incarcerated workers who are paid often to see most of their pay withheld for taxes. What? Room and board expenses and court costs. Incarcerated workers who are we're saving the prisons millions of dollars by getting paid pennies in return. All the jobs we are doing in prison are not really benefiting us. It is more benefiting the prison system. I work at a job making $450 for a whole year. Nice. A maquiladora, or maquila, is a company that allows factories to be largely duty-free and tariff-free. These factories take raw materials and assemble, manufacture, process them, export the finished product. These factories and systems are present through Latin America, including Mexico, Paraguay, Nicaragua, El Salvador. Maquiladoras date back to 1964 when the Mexican government introduced Programa de Industrialización Fronteriza. Specific programs and laws have been made Mexico's maquila industry grow rapidly. The Bracero program allowed men with farming experience to work on U.S. farms for a seasonal basis and ushered in a new era for the development of Mexico. Border Industrialization Program, or BIP, began in 1965 and allowed for lowering and restrictions and duties on machinery, equipment, and raw materials. Before this program, PRONAF, a national border program for infrastructure developments like building roads, parks, electricity, water, building factories, and cleaning up border cities, helped to improve situations across the U.S. border. With BIP, foreign firms were able to use factories built under PRONAF to import raw materials and export goods for cheaper costs than in other countries. One of the major goals of the BIP program, BIP, was to attract foreign investment. Ah, okay. Nice. Cool. Corporations could use a maquila to import materials and produce a good more cheaply than in the US by paying Mexican laborers to lower wages and paying less money in duties. Cool. Mexican work for approximately 1/6 of US hourly rate during the 5 years before NAFTA. Maquila employment had grown at a rate of 47%. Gotcha. Makes sense as to the reasoning for that. Yikes. Public officials have acknowledged that the work of these unpaid and poorly compensated incarcerated laborers is crucial. Jesus Christ. There's no way we could take care of our facilities, roads, and ditches if we didn't have inmate labor. Damn. Question. Where the F are public funds going to then? I went to get some toast and shit got dark real fast. Yep. That song in the background goes so hard as a beat. I love these background songs. Maybe you should value it more then. Other officials have said they oppose new sentencing and parole laws that would reduce the pool of incarcerated workers. What? According to the report, Steve Prator, a Louisiana sheriff, said we need to keep some out there. That's the ones that can work, pick up trash, the work release program. But guess what? Those are the ones that they're releasing. The good ones? What? The ones that we used to everyday wash cars, their cars, by the way, to patrol cars and stuff. Change oils in our cars, to cook in the kitchen, to do all that where we save money. Well, they're gonna let them out. Damn. Then, wait a minute. Where the hell is all this funding for the police is going to then? You're telling me that the billions of dollars that we allocate for state resources for police is relying on inmate labor to take care of all the gear, cars, and all that? Kind of raises a lot of questions, doesn't it? Where the heck is all this money going to then? More than 75% of workers told ACLU researchers if they can't work or decline to do so, they are subject to punishment ranging from solitary to loss of family visits or denial of sentence reductions. Damn. Whew. Hello, I would like to raise the issue of civil rights, please. Most incarcerated workers are not provided with skills and training for their work that would help them secure jobs when they're released. Turner said that 70% did not receive any form of job training, and 70% said they couldn't afford essentials such as soap and phone calls with their wages because they're not designed to do that. It's inherently exploitative. That's wild. That's wild that we just allow this. It's all good. Hey, this is normal. This has been normal. The U.S. has a long problematic history of using incarcerated workers as a source cheap of labor and subsidize the cost of our bloated prison system. Yeah, and furthermore, you wouldn't have all these costs for prisons if you didn't need to house all these folks, because our justice system is such garbage that we have God knows how many people incarcerated for the most asinine shit, drug possessions or whatever. Incarcerated workers are stripped of even the most minimal protections against labor exploitation and abuse. They're paid pennies for their work in often unsafe conditions, and even as they produce billions of dollars for state and federal governments. Some workers make slightly higher wages, working for state prison industries, which are typically state-owned programs run by corrections departments to produce goods or provide services for other government agencies. Nice. That work includes manufacturing furniture, cleaning supplies, and uniforms for other government workers, washing laundry for public hospitals or universities, and working for call centers of Department of Motor Vehicles. Wait a minute. Where the hell is all the funding for these programs going to? If these agencies or offices or whatever are relying on prison labor to save millions just to run, where the hell is all this funding going to? In 2021, more than 51,000 people held industry jobs, accounting for 6.5% of prison labor. Those workers are paid 30 cents to $1.30 an hour on average. In Oregon, for example, the DMV pays an incarcerated worker $4 to $6 a day, while a worker outside of prison doing the same DMG job works and makes an average of 80. Holy... What? The 13th Amendment does still allow, does still allow for slavery as punishment. Wow. Incarcerated workers in prison industry programs generated goods and services worth about 2.09 billion nationally in 2021. The authors found, citing estimates from National Correction Industries Association of Prison Industry Group. The researchers estimate that the maintenance work of prison is worth 9 billion the maintenance work of prisoners is worth 9 billion a year. But cautioned there was no centralized data on the value of this work, and the figure was probably an undercount and a rough estimate from earlier studies. The authors of the report are calling for extensive changes around the use of prison labor, including ensuring that such work is voluntary and provides workers with the same wages and protections granted to other workers, as well as programs that give incarcerated workers marketable skills and training. Oh, 100%. Like, this kind of like ticked a red flag when California was literally relying on prison labor firefighters to fight the wildfires, but because of the compounding effects of COVID, a lot of them were sick. They didn't have enough enough firefighters because they relied on prison firefighters, but those folks got sick. And then to like top it off, it turns out that even if those folks who put their lives on the line didn't even get the ability to become firefighters afterwards, they weren't eligible for certification because, well, you can't be one if you're a felon or whatever the BS excuse is. So yeah, no, duh. The goal is to increase recidivism because you need people filling up those prisons. Why? Well, wow. Talk about an effed up talk about an effed up system. Fake news, Google it. California changed its laws to help the prison firefighters. Oh, that's awesome. Hold on. I'm gonna have to eat my hat. They changed it? If so, nice. Cool. My aunt went to prison and she started at 17 cents an hour. Jesus. I stopped paying attention while I was traveling and it was a bliss. I might have to go back to that. Yeah. I don't disagree. At Lost 2, I apologize what I said. From Coomer Police, what I said, and I can understand how you were offended by what I said. Nice. Well, I appreciate that, Coomer Police. I'm glad, moments of self-reflection are always cool. Are always nice to see. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I completely support that. Ziggy. Yes, nice. I'm glad they changed that.
Underneath the rocking blues of the ocean's surface lie forests of green. Gently flowing in the currents, these organisms are the trees of the ocean. Stunning groves that rise up from the depths and shelter thousands of species from the vast void of.
The prison firefighters save California $100 million a year. It's not the best system, but it helps reduce the government costs. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in the treatments for, I don't know, human beings. Julian, the Romanian, hi from Germany. Howdy.
The sea. But for us humans, these organisms are so much more. They're food,
I'm here
animal
for the
feed,
otters,
protection
true.
from storms, a livelihood, and a possible solution to pulling years of fossil fuel emissions out of the atmosphere. These wonders are none other than seaweed. And today we'll discover why these plants, that are not actually plants, may be the key to
Are you asking me my climate policy?
unlocking a new way of farming that could be an essential tool to building a zero-carbon world. This video is sponsored by CuriosityStream, which now comes with Nebula for free when you sign up using the link in the description. Over the last decade, entrepreneurs, fisherfolk, and thought leaders have latched on to the promise of seaweed farming with exuberance. Nonprofits like Greenwave and for-profit entities like C6 Energy have emerged to encourage and fuel a seaweed farming boom in the United States and, more broadly, the Americas and Europe. What they claim is, on the surface, extremely promising. A thriving seaweed farming system that supports the livelihoods of thousands of coastal communities, restores ocean habitats, and, for many, the most important bit, sequesters millions of tons of carbon out of the atmosphere. This is the promise of the nascent blue carbon industry. We'll get.
Is this about climate policy? Not 100% necessarily.
Into whether seaweed farming lives up to this hype in a little bit, but before we do that, what do seaweed farms actually look like on the ground? Luckily, countries like China and Indonesia have been farming seaweed for almost 1,700 years, so we can already see what this blue carbon aquaculture looks like at scale. Most seaweed farming looks like plots of coastal waters with lines of kelp or suitable seaweed species growing vertically down from lines strung across the surface of the water. Some seaweed varieties can grow as fast as 2 feet per day, and when fully grown are then harvested by boat, processed on land, and broken down in numerous materials that run the gamut from dried seaweed flakes to animal feed to agar for thickening and even biofuels and bioplastics. In 2019, the world produced 35.7 million metric tons of seaweed, with China and Indonesia responsible for 84.6% of that production. Needless to say, imperial core countries like the United States are chomping at the bit to fill their coastal waters with seaweed farms, especially considering their benefits. But can these macroalgae actually fulfill their host of proposed promises?
For years, Brian Kemp has taken Georgia backwards. He put us backwards on guns, said law enforcement, and made it easier for criminals to carry guns in public. Just when we need to.
I'm getting ads for what? What is this, FedEx? Oi.
Seaweed farming is growing in popularity across the world for a myriad of reasons. Some farmers grow them to serve demand for edible seaweed in a wide range of dishes like sushi, while others grow them for animal feed, supposedly aiding the health of livestock guts and drastically reducing the methane emissions of meat as a result. Still others are spurred on by seaweed's potential to sequester substantial amounts of carbon in ocean sediments.
That's what I'm
and the deep
interested
sea.
in.
It's here with carbon sequestration that we'll begin to unpack the benefits of seaweed groves. Looking at wild seaweed, which is an umbrella term for thousands of species of large algae, scientists have discovered their immense capacity to draw carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and lock it back into the earth or the deep ocean. One research paper estimates that macroalgae sequester roughly 173 teragrams of carbon per year globally. To put that in perspective, that's the equivalent of sequestering the emissions of 8.65 million people living in the United States each year. And looking
Jesus
towards
Christ.
seaweed aquaculture, this paper claims that a square kilometer of seaweed farm could sequester 1,500 tons of CO2 every year, which would be like reversing the footprint of 300 people living in China or 75 people living in the US every single year.
Wow.
To be clear, this is a rough estimate of carbon removal. The body of research and recording mechanisms are still in their infancy, so it's hard to get exact numbers on how much carbon wild and domesticated seaweed is actually capturing.
But like, the point stands that it seems like it's incredibly beneficial.
That being said, there are a host of other benefits that seaweed provides to...
Wait. Hold on. They volunteered for a firefighter program. It's not forced labor. So imagine that you're on a plane. Okay? And it crashes into an island. Okay? And there are two people on that plane, you and another person, right? And when you crash on that plane,
coastal ecosystems. Seaweed farms, when introduced, have provided rich habitats for sea life, deacidified their surrounding waters, created storm and flood-resilient coastlines by buffering wave energy, as well as provided oxygen-rich oases in oxygen-deprived zones. These are all exciting prospects. Along the Chinese coast, for example, seaweed farms introduced near dead zones successfully mitigated deadly toxic...
Yeah, like by definition, what literally you just said, Ziggy, is coercion. You know that, right? That's literally coercive. Prison was actually never originally intended for punishment, actually. I believe we used to have a department of what was it called before it was changed to corrections? Or wait, what was it called? Department of man, I'm getting my wires twisted. But yeah, prison should be about decreasing the likelihood of that person coming back. It should be rehabilitative, not punitive. I get that joke.
algal blooms, while farms off the coast of Costa Rica noticed that the cultivated seaweed rapidly attracted biodiversity. But part of the reason seaweed aquaculture is so appealing is that it requires few inputs and seaweed grows incredibly fast. You don't need fertilizer, herbicides, or pesticides, and seaweed mostly takes care of itself, which means that an ocean farm is comparatively easier to start and maintain than its on-land cousin. In short, seaweed farming, if done right, could potentially sequester millions of metric tons of carbon, all while repairing ecosystems and providing buffer zones for coastal communities. But emphasis on if done right and potentially, because our knowledge of the effects of seaweed farming on carbon sequestration as well as habitat restoration is still growing. A quick Google search of seaweed farming reveals a lot about the excitement over the potential of this carbon sequestration powerhouse. Articles like this or this feel like 19th century gold rush promoters of the American West. That much hype raises alarm bells for me, especially considering this recent scientific paper that has called into question seaweed's potential for carbon sequestration. It points out that previous studies have failed to account for the contribution of the influx of organic material and plankton that wash into wild seaweed groves, providing extra food for sea life and ultimately leading to significantly more carbon dioxide emissions. The paper claims that as a result, wild seaweed forests might actually be a net source of carbon. I use this paper not to discount seaweed sequestration wholesale, but merely to demonstrate that research on these practices are extremely new and evolving. We are still in the midst of parsing out exactly how wild seaweed and seaweed farming contributes to our ecosystems. To be clear, many scientists in the field have found the research promising, but we have to be careful about how we treat and implement these types of natural sequestration solutions. If it's used just as another carbon offset scheme, letting the fossil fuel industry continue generating emissions with impunity, then seaweed farming could be a dangerous proposition, especially because we aren't clear how much seaweed farming sequesters. Expanding seaweed farming, then, should not be viewed as an excuse to continue fossil-fueled capitalism. It is instead an exciting tool in a wide range.
That's true. That's true. Immediate depression and learned helplessness? No, these are solutions. These are potential solutions. Come on, we don't know. We don't know 100% do the doomerism. It just depends on how it's done. Seaweed could potentially be a very good tool. Oh, just you. Okay. The only lens to use is, will this policy increase or decrease biodiversity? Biodiversity is unbelievably crucial. And the answer to that seems to be yes. But again, it just depends on how... It seems like what this video is suggesting is, depending on how this is done, it could actually be very beneficial.
Ranging toolkit that should be used for the struggle to build a zero-carbon world free of fossil fuels and capitalist extraction. Seaweed represents a mode of agriculture that would tie humans back to the earth and the sea. But to do so, seaweed farming must not just be seen as another novelty for a startup to automate. Seaweed...
Yes, I believe they, spread it forward. They made a note of that, like, at the beginning.
Farming is a piece of an amazingly complex web of low-carbon, carbon-negative, and justice-oriented actions and ideas.
Yes, what we're seeing is one part of the solution, yes. And to be clear, to kind of just piggyback off Membo's comment, it turns out, and this is true, if our if our ecosystems fail, we're effed. All right, that's as simple as it gets. If our vastly complex ecosystems fail, we're effed.
That we must integrate to build a better world. Because at the end of the day, even if seaweed farms expand to pepper the world's coastline and draw down millions of tons of carbon from the atmosphere, it will not be enough. Yes, it will certainly help, but if we continue to grow our emissions footprint as our capitalist system is currently doing right now, using seaweed farming to sequester carbon from the atmosphere will be like trying to fill an ever-expanding hole. So the natural carbon capture mechanisms of seaweed farming have to be combined with political tendencies like eco-socialist degrowth that seek a contraction of production in the imperial core and an expansion of well-being for the periphery. At the end of the day, seaweed farming might be a small piece of an exciting new future, but that future has already begun to take shape in the seaweed harvested along the coastlines of the world. With each harvest of seaweed, we're bringing ourselves closer to that future by putting good food on our plates and repairing the harm of centuries of environmental damage. But what kind of seaweed farms are springing up across global coastlines? Are they small or massive industrial operations? How is the current seaweed boom being managed, and where is all of that seaweed going? Those are some of the questions I answer in the bonus section to this video I've uploaded on Nebula, all about the current state of the seaweed boom, especially in America and Europe. If you haven't heard by now, Nebula is a streaming...
All right. The only person allowed to shill is me, okay? Let's get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. He is an IT getter. What? I don't go after IT. Alright folks, speaking of shilling, I am at work and I have the focus of a gnat right now. Oh no. Because I can see conservatives conflate eco-socialism with eco-fascism since they think Antifa and other left groups are fascist. True. What is this tweet? It's not a good one. It's actually a very bad tweet. Not good. I was loving that seaweed video, but it opened more questions than it answered. That's the point, I think. I think that was the point. It was to offer a potential solution that should be investigated, in my opinion. I think that the point of the video was to illustrate another potential tool that could be fought, that could be used to fight climate change. To your response, spread it forward. To respond to your comment, I think that this is why I don't generally like make labels or adhere to a specific label, because, well, as silly as it is, people hear certain words like socialism and then like they get turned off. I know, it's silly, but if we can't detect it, how do we know what it's affecting? I think what they're trying to say is that even at such low levels, it has the potential for harm. High iron well water. Is this mostly treated water? Or is this including artesian wells? This is drinking water. I'm thinking that's like tap water. The speed fasting has been in the public arena for a very long while. Yeah, and the studies have been ongoing to the links of bad effects. That's really what we're trying to get to. All right, so before we get into this magnificent tweet, really, it's just a link to the EPA's announcement, so really that's what it is. The source has to play a part, right? I think so. It's possible. I'm not sure. Folks, yeah, I'm not sure. We'll get to the actual EPA statement. Are there similar claims about synthetic estrogens in the environment? No, I don't think so. Not exactly familiar. Folks, just to take 5 seconds to talk about the only person allowed to shill on this channel is myself. So here we are. This month's sponsor is Factor. Factor is a company that was recently swallowed by HelloFresh. HelloFresh is something that we've been using for quite some time. So hey, let's give it a shot here. So yeah, that's where we're at. Get fresh, ready-made meals delivered to your doorstep when you sign up with Factor. Factor's chef-created meals are fresh, never frozen, designed by dietitians to ensure every meal is packed with premium science-backed nutritional quality. No more meal prep, no more dishes, no more unhealthy fast food. Factor offers the most convenient way to eat well while eating right. They do offer vegan and vegetarian options. Factor's menus are updated weekly and include 27 plus meals and 34 plus add-on options. You can choose your favorite meals or let us craft your order based on your taste, preference, and meal history. Okay? Get $120 off when you use code FACTORSC1962 !Factor. Plastics release estrogenic chemicals? Really? That's news to me. Not only that, you get to support the channel while doing that too, by the way. Never mind the Bloomberg thing. EPA announces new drinking water health advisories for PFAS chemicals, $1 billion in bipartisan infrastructure law funding to strengthen health protections. Today, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency released 4 drinking water health advisories for PFAS in their latest action under President Biden's action plan to deliver clean water and administration's Reagan's PFAS strategic roadmap. EPA also announced that it is inviting states and territories to apply for $1 billion, the first $5 billion bipartisan infrastructure law grant funding, to address PFAS and other emerging contaminants in drinking water, specifically in smaller disadvantaged communities. These actions build on the EPA's progress to safeguard communities from PFAS pollution and scientifically inform upcoming efforts, including EPA's forthcoming proposed national primary drinking water regulation for PFOA/PFOS, which the EPA will release in the fall of 2022. People on the front line of PFAS contamination have suffered for far too long. That's why the EPA is taking aggressive action as a whole of government approach to prevent these chemicals from entering the environment and to help protect concerned families from this pervasive challenge. Unfortunately, a lot of that's just kind of unavoidable at this point. Thanks to EPA's Administrator Michael S. Regan, thanks to President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law, we're also investing $1 billion to reduce PFAS and other emerging contaminants in drinking water. Today's actions highlight the EPA's commitment to use the best available science to tackle PFAS pollution, protect public health, and provide critical information quickly and transparently. The EPA Assistant Administrator for Water, Radhika Fox, EPA is also demonstrating its commitment to harmonize policies that strengthen public health protections with infrastructure to funding to help communities, especially disadvantaged communities, to deliver safe water. Assistant Administrator Fox announced these actions at the 3rd National PFAS Conference in Wilmington, North Carolina. As part of a government-wide effort to confront the PFAS pollution, EPA is making available $1 billion. Yes, we're looping. I know that. Okay. The Lifetime Drinking Water Health Advisories for PFAS. The agency is releasing PFAS health advisories in light of newly available science and according with EPA's responsibility to protect public health. These advisories indicate the level of drinking water contamination below which adverse health effects are not expected to occur. Health advisories provide technical information that federal, state, and local officials can use to inform development of monitoring plans, investments, and treatment solutions, and future policies to protect the public from PFAS exposure. EPA's lifetime health advisories identify levels to protect all people, including sensitive populations and life stages, from adverse health effects resulting from lifetime exposure to these PFAS drinking water. EPA's lifetime health advisories also take into account other potential sources of exposure to these PFAS beyond drinking water, for example, food, air, consumer products, etc., which provide an additional layer of protection. EPA is issuing interim updated drinking water health advisories for PFOA and PFOS that replace those EPA issued in 2016. The updated advisory level, which are based on new science and consider lifetime exposure, indicate that some negative health effects may occur with concentrations of PFOA or PFOS in water that are at near zero and below the EPA's ability to detect at this time. The lower level of PFOA and PFOS, the lower the risk to public health. The EPA recommends states, tribes, territories, and drinking water utilities that detect PFOA and PFOS take steps to reduce exposure. So in other words, the fact that it can be detected is already not a good thing. I think that's the point. Most plastic leach hormone-like chemicals. Oh, yikes. These chemicals, even products that didn't contain BPA components or plastics, widely criticized because it mimics estrogen. Obligatory Alex Jones songs, they're putting chemicals in the water. Oh no, Alex Jones was right. The Safe Drinking Water Act defines a contaminant as meaning any physical, chemical, biological, radiological substance in water matter. Okay, physical, chemical, biological, and radiological. Gotcha. So, so is the factor cost per box? I believe so. Because you can buy like a week's worth, I believe. 'Cause instead of me talking smack. Why don't I just actually go to the thing? You can just select how much you want. Do you want 4 meals per week? Do you want 6? Do you want 8? Do you want 10? Do you want 12? Do you want 18 meals? So then I would multiply that by the cost of how many I'm getting. Yeah, so you would just divide that, I guess. If you're getting 4 and it costs X, just divide that by 4. Yeah. The EPA recommends tribes, territories, and drinking water utilities that detect PFOA and PFOS to take steps to reduce exposure. Most use of PFOA and PFOS were voluntarily phased out by U.S. manufacturers, although there is still a limited number of ongoing uses, and these chemicals remain in the environment due to their lack of degradation. For the first time, the EPA is issuing final health advisories for PFBS and for HFPO, dimer acid, and its ammonium salt, Gen X chemicals. In chemical and product manufacturing, Gen X chemicals are considered a replacement for PFOA, and PFBS is considered a replacement for PFOS. The Gen X chemicals and PFBS health advisory levels are well beyond above the level of detection based on risk analysis in recent scientific studies. So the problem is the fact that they can already detect them is not a good thing. And they're going to expand gotta work, lurk. Your Carlos, your bot says grab a beverage. Listen, my bot often does what it wants, okay? So if if it sometimes misspells a couple of words, you know, it's okay. TLDR, they're going to provide more funding for the limitation of these things. PFAS has been used in firefighting foam, non-stick metal coatings for frying pans, paper, food packaging. True. Creams, cosmetics, textile for furniture and outdoor clothing, paints, photography, chrome plating, pesticides, pharmaceuticals. Yep. That's right.
T-ball on Friday, swim lessons on Saturday. Sunday, we have a dance recital.
Oh, so come.
Stop with these ads. These ads. Stop trying to sell me cars. I don't need a car. You could say it's a difficult bot. True. Don't worry, I'll get that bot in line.
January 6th investigation. The House Select Committee today released stunning new video that's raising questions about whether there was advanced reconnaissance inside the Capitol the day before the insurrection.
Yeah, show me the video.
We're also learning about what 2 key advisors to then Vice President Mike Pence will say at tomorrow's hearing. CBS's Robert Costa will have more on that in just a minute. But first, CBS's Scott MacFarlane will start us off with that new video.
So tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time, there'll be the next hearing, right? No, wait, no, I'm sorry. Today, Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Check it out. It's important.
The attack on the U.S. Capitol is focusing on the man in the gray sweatshirt.
Seen on surveillance video taking photos of staircases and hallways in the Capitol complex on January 5th, the day before the attack. A day later, they say he was recording this video amid a crowd marching to the Capitol.
We're coming in like white on rice for Pelosi, Nadler, Schumer, even you, AOC. We're coming to take you out. We'll pull you out by your hairs.
What a bunch of peaceful folks. Truly just patriots, you know? Truly just casually, you know, coming to take you out. Yeah. Cool. The more information that comes out on this, the more ridiculous people like Ben Shapiro look when they were trying to sensationalize the idea that AOC was somehow exaggerating, was somehow being hyperbolic about being, like, scared. Yeah. Okay. Kind of all falls apart when you've got very clear evidence of folks that should they have gotten their hands on any of these folks. Yeah, by takeout, I guess they meant like food? Sure. Yeah, clearly that was all Antifa. I heard January 6th is happening today again. Yes, I corrected myself. It's today at 1 p.m. Eastern.
The committee says he was part of a tour group led by Georgia Republican Barry Loudermilk.
Hey,
Some
that's
taking
nice. Look at
pictures of
that.
Security checkpoints. The congressman denied any wrongdoing.
Cool, just casually, you know, letting randos take, you know, pictures, videos of all staircases and stuff like that.
I'm totally opposed and I condemn that kind of language. But no one in that group showed that type of aggression that day. I mean, they were just here.
What? What kind of excuse is that? Yeah, no shit. The whole point wasn't... Okay. I hope that I don't have to explain why that was so naive or I don't know, either naive or on purpose. What did you... What? Oh, well, when I saw them, they were being really nice.
CBS News reached a member of the congressman's visiting group who also said it was not a reconnaissance mission, but the committee said the group stayed for several hours on a day the complex was closed to the public and photographed and recorded areas of the complex not typically of interest to tourists. Pennsylvania Democrat.
Yeah, that's a problem. Either you're so grossly, like, incompetent that you just, like, casually let folks in. Like, imagine if this was, like, an actual, imagine that they wanted to really do some, like, even worse after. Imagine if this was even more organized. And you're just, what, letting people take photos and video? Like, okay, dude. What is this? I heard January 6th is happening today again. Yes, I corrected myself. It's today at 1 p.m. Eastern. Listen, alright? This didn't happen. January 6th hearings, okay? This didn't happen. Alright? I don't know where that clip came from. I don't know. This is a deep fake. It didn't happen. It's a deep fake, okay?
Democrat Brendan Boyle says this photo is a spot he's never seen photographed before and was near a sensitive area.
That specific stairwell was not too far away from where a large concentration of members were taken that afternoon while the insurrection was still going on in the Capitol.
With the committee focused on this video, Congressman Loudermilk points to a report earlier this week from Capitol Police in which they say they reviewed the actions of that group from January 5th previously and found nothing suspicious. Nora?
Really interesting, Scott.
Very interesting, Scott. The police just randomly, they found absolutely nothing wrong here. Unbelievable. BRB, wow, download that clip. I'll still claim that it's a deep fake, alright? I will stick to my guns. I'll say I have no idea who that is. That is not me. I would never say something so silly. Yes, there was no suspicious activity about people who are casually just photographing and documenting areas that are not typically being photographed by tourists or something like that. There's nothing suspicious. Nothing at all. Jeez. It's gonna be too late. Your reputation will already be in shambles. It may well be. But I'm ready. Very weird, yeah. Either we've got some woefully incompetent folks here, or we've got folks who are trying their best to be as generous as possible. Mouselander, how's it going? Oh, that's so cool. I love these little mouse emotes. Did Skiddedeer do that for you? Heyo. Hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Take it from a guy who grew up with 11 brothers and sisters. I understand the impact of rising costs. It's why I'm fighting so hard to help you keep more of the money you earn.
Is time since we are talking about we're talking about
You made the original animated and I made the singles. Nice, that's so cool. I've been watching a lot of Daryl Davis and videos. Can anyone help me understand how I can help people escape the cult of leftism? I really suck at it. There's no escape. I'm sorry. There's no escape. There's no escape on the cult of wanting the ability to have a better life. There's just no escape. It can't be done.
electoral politics to address a rumor that there is a rumor.
I swear, if I get clickbaited, because I think I was absent yesterday. If I get clickbaited, I'm unsubscribing.
That people are organizing a draft Cedar campaign. I never speak of myself in the third party is the name of the campaign.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Draft Sam Cedar. I don't know. These
Jimmy
are all
Dore's running for
rumors of a
president.
rumor. To run
I will literally I will send a very angry IM to the show today if I have to watch this video and Jimmy Dore's not running for president.
On for the People's Party presidential nomination. The reason why I have to address this now, because I heard the rumor of the rumor. Well, I heard the rumor of the rumor like weeks ago, and then I heard the initial primary rumor. And I wasn't going to address it, but yesterday, the People's Party.
He's considered it, and the People's Party is pushing for it. Oh, no, it's true. What? Oh, no.
And do I have a copy of it here? I know you just gave it to me, and I can't even.
We have it up. We have it up here.
Oh, we can have it up there. Okay, yeah. I think I have it here in my pocket, too. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to read what the Movement for People's Party. Now, if you haven't heard of the People's Party, that is because they've only been around for, 2 years?
Ah, damn. Hold on. Astro points out. Hold on. No. Astro's giving us the answer. Bro, you're right. Just become uber wealthy and drop all sense of, morals and ethics. And that's it. That's how you do it. That's how you escape leftism. There you go. There's the answer.
And have been able to do not much. There's been a lot of controversy around its national chair. Their biggest claim to fame was the Force the Vote movement that they started. And I know there was a major protest that they had on the steps of the Capitol where I think at least
there were dozens of
people
protesters.
there. And they identified me as the primary reason why we do not have Medicare for all in the
country. True. Damn. Sam Cedar by himself is the exact reason. Why we don't have Medicare for all.
Makes sense.
I think it's arguable.
I'd like to at least be identified as the secondary reason.
I mean, I think
I'm always getting short shrift.
You can't just jump right in like that. It takes a while to build that type of power.
And you certainly have the ego to
just
run
play
for president
Elden Ring.
on the People's Party platform.
I have some of the most thrilling news I've ever shared, writes Nick Brana, national chair of the People's Party. Jimmy Dore is considering a run for president with the People's Party.
That's news.
Whoa.
Oh, wait a second. God darn it. We've been discussing it with him and Steph. Here's the thing: is that these guys they're broadening the movement.
The brain trust.
Not only must you all know who Jimmy Dore is, you also
champagne
should know
socialist.
Steph
I'm
is
a
his
champagne
wife
socialist.
and producer.
No need to include her last name.
No need to in any way
We're all
contextualize.
familiar.
There's Cher and there's Steph.
Yeah.
Oprah. Cher.
We've been discussing it with him and Steph for several weeks, and he's talking about it on tour and on his show.
So it's content for him.
He would be the most popular comedian ever to run. Okay. Now, I'm not sure how old Nick is. Maybe he's 12. Maybe he's 30. I don't know. But there was someone called Dick Gregory, who was a brilliant comedian and then became an amazing activist who ran for president. There was also Pat Paulson, who ran multiple times for president, also very famous at the time. Now, this is a while back ago, and
okay.
I know there's been others. I can't even remember off the top of my head.
Can we count Donald Trump as a comedian?
No.
No.
We're only going to do actual working comedians.
No, Donald Trump is not a comedian. Come on. Anyways, Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
Well, then I don't know how Jimmy qualifies, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, he does
rants.
He does rants. And,
it's a big tent party, the People's Party, for comedians in terms of the definition. Not as big of a tent to include Donald Trump, Bradley.
Yeah.
But,
it's a third party.
Would overlook
okay.
Although, let's be clear on this. That's a good point. Let's be clear. He is the most popular jack-off comedian.
We are already living in the
to ever
weirdest and
run.
darkest timeline.
Or
So
he
yeah,
would be.
what?
Okay, so
F
let's
it.
continue.
Why not? Why? You're right, and
And the
Choma.
first
I don't
person
know
with
why I'm
his
surprised.
own show and million subscribers. Well, I mean, Donald Trump had a show, but there wasn't subscribers per se. Okay, a Jimmy Dore campaign and presidency could revolutionize this country. I think that's probably accurate. Every time he's brought it up, the crowds at his show and in the live chat have exploded with excitement. Now, let's just be clear. The venues in which he's at, maybe 100, 150 people. I mean, they're comedy clubs. And people have come to pay money to see him, and they're in his chat because they...
Okay, so now that we are here, I need this for the record, okay? As you can clearly see, my Twitch chat is superior to the Majority Report's Twitch chat because guess what? We have People Riot. That's right. We've got that emote. Rent control destroys cities and puts a stop to a new housing. That's not really true. I don't think it works that way. I really don't think so. I think that rent control by itself may need to be paired with other policies, but I don't know how it destroys other cities or puts a stop to new housing. Or to add to that, why would we need more housing? We already have plenty of housing. The problem is the supply is being choked up by a lot of these investment corporations who are just literally just grabbing up like full swath neighborhoods and sit on them. Yeah.
It's on the campaign trail?
You, specifically yours. Oh, maybe, if he wants to do well. Let's show him what an incredible candidate we think he would make and how much support he would have. Jimmy streams his show live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern.
Go contribute to the views.
Go contribute to the views, but it doesn't end there.
This is... Oh my god. So, just to be clear, this is an advertising for his show. I just want to be very clear. This is an advertising for the Jimmy Dore Show. That's what this is.
Join us for a party in the live YouTube chat of his show this Wednesday and Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Post in the live chat encouraging him to run. Send him a super chat telling him why it's personal for you and how President Jimmy Dore could change your life. Matt, what is a super chat?
A super chat is when you pay money to both YouTube and the streamer for your chat to appear highlighted in the chat.
This is an advertising for Jimmy Dore. Oh my god. This is wild. I've actually never seen this, like, this level. Wow, we are exploring new levels of grifting. Jesus Christ. Oh man, I'm actually flabbergasted. What?
I see.
It's not an Act Blue link?
I see. Okay. So you...
if you remember, Kelly used to want us to talk about super chats a lot because the more you talk about them, the more people use them, and it gives us more money. But we thought it was gauche. So.
We thought it was a little bit gauche. I'm not a super chat. I don't mind if you send a super chat, but that's just not the way we do things here. However, if you are a Jimmy Dore fan and you do not want me to run, send us a super chat, and we will register that. But let me also say, if you are a Jimmy Dore fan and you do want me to run, send us a super chat. Let us know. That way we can measure the level of support or non-support from Jimmy Dore fans. If you are a fan of this show and you do not want me to run, send a super chat. We can gauge that. It's the only way that we can gauge this. If you are a fan and you do want me to run, send a super chat so that we can...
Make sure our pollster sees your super chat.
Now, however, if you find after doing the super chat that there's too many super chats and you cannot...
What? Wait, how like woefully Jesus Christ. Okay. So this is like basically a first grader's understanding of how this works. Okay, how does this not benefit the renter? What if the new housing just keeps increasing housing prices? Yeah, thank you, Coomer Police. Jesus Christ.
Your super chat is not stand up. Head over to jointhemajorityreport.com. Get a membership. If you feel that I should or should not run for president under the banner of the People's Party, or if you feel I should or should not run for president under any banner, or at all, become a member of the Majority Report. If you feel that we are not responsive enough for that, please head over to the membership page and become a Sam Cedar member.
True.
Which actually is it's $1,000.
Yes, it's $1,000.
If you join enough times as a Sam Cedar member, you can actually decide
democracy
to run or not run. This is the way the democracy runs.
Yeah, exactly. And make sure that only Jimmy Dore fans make sure that Sam don't run. Yeah, send a super chat if you want him to stop this bit. True. How's it going, Heat? Elder Raven, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. If there's no money in building new housing, none will get built. What? That's not because of rent control. Heem coming in hot with a party of 48. Howdy, everybody. That's not how rent control works. If you have rent control, that doesn't determine the prices of building new housing. What? How do you have such a first grader understanding of this? I'm not even someone who completely is knowledgeable on economics. Hunger Master, Elder Raven, one guy in here. Thank you for the follows. Thank you, Heem. I appreciate that. Folks, please go check out twitch.tv/Heem. Please go check out twitch.tv/Entroma. Please go check out twitch.tv/Lawsu. Please go check out twitch.tv/AlioShare. I think I got everybody. Wow, it's almost like housing is an inelastic market, meaning it shouldn't be left up to the whims of private market. We should collectively invest in housing so there's ample supply. It's not completely unaffordable. Yes, there are ways of getting there, and furthermore, the supply is there. It's just that we've got a lot of things squeezing and a lot of factors that are that are causing the housing prices up. Oh, do me! I started streaming again. Oh yeah. Oh, shit. Folks, twitch.tv/Heat420_. Please go follow. Anyways. Yeah. Yes, government housing works all the time. Yeah, if done right. Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. Yes, it does. Hey, listen, buddy. I wouldn't be talking so much with your childish understanding of how housing works. So, just to be clear, implementing a rent control policy is separate from incentivizing new housing to be built. And that is separate from what influences those prices. Just saying. You do know there's a difference between rent control housing and government housing. Yeah, and new housing. These are all separate things. How do you have such a childish understanding? Here we go. Finland. We decided to make housing unconditional, to say, look, you don't need to solve your problems before you get a home. Instead, a home should be the secure foundation that makes it easier to solve your problems. With state, municipal, and NGO backing, flats were bought, new blocks built, old shelters converted into permanent, comfortable homes. Among them, the Rukila Homeless Shelter. We decided to make... Oh, yes, here we go. Where housing first early goal was to create 2,500 new homes. It has created 3,500. Since its launch in 2008, the number of long-term homelessness people has fallen about 35%. Rough sleeping area has all been eradicated, where only 50 bed night shelters remain and where winter temperatures can plunge to -20. The city's deputy mayor, Sana Vesikana, said that in her childhood, hundreds in the whole country slept in parks and forests. We hardly have that anymore. Street sleeping is very rare now. Yeah. There you go. Proof of concept that it can work. Yes, the solution is to take care of your womb, from the womb to the grave. What? You okay? Are you okay? So I gave you solutions, I gave you proof of concept. Based. Government housing is subsidized by taxpayers. And? What is your solution, buddy? Anyways, this is a good meme. This one will take 5 seconds. So someone yesterday, or I think it was the day before yesterday, was like, oh yeah, I would rather have a Liz Cheney over a Trump or something like that, or I would absolutely, get government out of housing. What? Wait, we don't have government in housing. What? Do you think that we have like a massive government program for housing? Can you point out to the massive government program that we have for housing and why that is the sole problem as to why we have a housing problem? Because that is unbelievably this is a child's view. This is unbelievably childish. That's a good start. Yeah, F the poor. Good job. Man, damn, you really... this is why conservatives should never, ever have a modicum of power. Look at that. Unbelievably asinine. This is your brain on conservatism, folks. This is your brain on conservatism. Right, only wealthy people should own homes and everyone else gets the bootstraps. F them poors. Anyways, somebody the other day said something about Cheney being good or something about Cheney having like a nice presence or whatever the excuse was. There was like literally right before like the election with Kimberly Guilfoyle praising and thanking Liz Cheney's $10,000 donation. So yeah, just to clarify on the previous comment, no, I would never want Liz Cheney anywhere near president as well. That's not how that works. How much government do you think is involved in housing? You can't even provide me that evidence. Listen, if you find that evidence and explain to me the extent of how government is involved in housing, then you can let me know and we can talk then. But yeah. Folks, it is about that time. I do have to get going. Thank you so much for all the support. Thank you for all the new follows. Thank you for the raid, Heem. Thank you for the biddies. I appreciate that. Thank you, Spread It Forward. Thank you, Heat. Go follow all the awesome people with the little diamond. Thank you, Heem. Go follow them. Go follow Heat. Go follow AlioShare. Go follow Entroma. Go follow Lawsu. All of these folks are wonderful people. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya. Shoot, 11:30. Jesus. Let's ride the raid wave. Thank you, Heem. This cult is strong. True. I know. Facts and logic just isn't your thing, isn't it? Having political positions consistent with like studies are just consistent with the real world is just everything is provided free by the government. Oh yes, you had paid 100% tax rate. Unbelievable. Dude, did you just steal the entire world's supply of straw to build the biggest straw man? Holy yikes, dude. Is that why we don't have wheat? Is that why we don't have straw? Is that why we're suffering a shortage? Because you just built the world's largest straw man? Jesus Christ. Right next to the second largest straw man where everything is free. Cool. How do you think taxes are paid? Are taxes free? No. Absolute child. Folks, libertarianism, not even once. Conservatism, not even once. This is your brain on conservatism and libertarianism. Not even once. Not even capable of like living in the realities. All right, folks, we gotta head out. We're gonna head out to Dr. WD-40. For travel and outdoors. All right, we're gonna take a second to just woosah. Okay, thank you guys. See ya.